on BYOB. I am Nola Nash. This is
Laura Kemp, and this is
Julia Daily.
We are so excited that you're here with us, Julia. And you won a contest that Laura did online that we offered up a spot on BYOB. And we are so excited to have you on the episode today. Tell the folks a little bit about who you are.
I will. I'm so excited to be here because I've been stalking you ladies for quite a while. So I was thrilled to see the contest and I could get on with you instead of waiting on a long list. But I say
so
that
you're here.
I'm a Texan with a Southern accent. I have an English degree and a master's in education. I've done a lot of teaching, everything from communications at Belhaven University in Jackson, Mississippi. I was public relations director at the Mississippi Department of Education, and I worked at Millsaps College. So I've been around the education field for a long time. But my favorite job was actually when I was executive director of the Craftsmen's Guild of Mississippi. There are 300 artisans from 19 different states, and we operated the Mississippi Craft Center. So I got to write their stories to introduce them to the public. So that was a lot of fun.
How fascinating that must have been.
Yes.
So cool.
And I lived 62 years in Mississippi to be buried in Texas. So here I am on a remote ranch with my husband and two Labradors, Memphis Belle and Texas Star.
What great names.
Perfect. Yes, perfect Southern names. What do you do on your ranch? Is it a working ranch?
Well, we have a lot of wildlife here. We were looking for a second home, and I thought we wanted cooler summers, so I was looking in North Carolina in the mountains. But my husband had board meetings in San Antonio, and he would say, every time I land in Texas, it just feels right. And I said, well, those aren't cooler summers, but
no.
we came out and we explored the hill country, and it's beautiful here. And so we settled into a small historic town between San Antonio and Austin.
Wow, what a neat area to be in, right between two really cool cities.
Yes.
I've never been to Texas.
Oh, well, come and we'll let you stay at the ranch.
There you go.
Good. How many acres do you have?
350.
Wow.
And that's considered a ranchette in Texas.
Yeah.
Ranchette.
It's big, but I know it's in the biggest state. So.
Yeah, everything's bigger in Texas.
Everything's bigger.
Ranchettes.
Yes. I've become so enamored with all the ranches out here and the history of all the families who have been here for generations that my second novel is actually going to take place on the largest ranch in Texas.
Oh, wow.
What ranch is that?
What was that, Laura?
What is the largest ranch in Texas? Do you know what?
Well, King Ranch is the largest. Mine is yes, you can see it on the back of Ford pickups,
Ford trucks,
like that.
But Ford truck.
Yeah, mine is going to be fiction, and I'm going to make up a ranch. It's called the Thorn.
Oh, what a great name!
Thorn Ranch. Ooh,
I like that.
I'm intrigued already. Can't wait.
Yes. Now, your book, No Names to Be Given. It's, for me, being from South Louisiana, the New Orleans area, I was fascinated by this premise for many, many reasons. One, I had watched a British mystery where they actually had a character who had a baby and was pregnant and was sent to one of these places in England. So these homes or places for women that go to have babies and then the babies are taken from them and put up, they go like nothing happened. They have the baby, they go back. And that fascinated me in that episode. And so then when I read the synopsis about your book, and I thought, oh my gosh, it's starting here in New Orleans. And oh, wow, the research on this must have been really fascinating for you. What were some of the things that you discovered, or why was this what you wanted to start with as your plot point?
Well, because even though it's fiction, it has a thread of memoir running through it. My three protagonists meet at a maternity home in New Orleans to relinquish their babies for adoption. And like you said, return home as if nothing transpired. And 25 years later, they're brought back together by blackmail and threatened to expose their secrets all the way to the White House. So it has a real nice thread running through it. But it has my memoir running through it because I was one of those adopted children from a maternity home in New Orleans.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh.
So it hits close to home.
That is really close to home for you.
It does.
Was that an easy thing to research, or did that kind of become a little prickly for you?
Well, it was real interesting because I actually searched and found my birth mother years ago. And that was at a time when nobody was searching and nobody had open records. But there was a Napoleonic law still on the books in New Orleans that said an adopted child can inherit from their natural parents. Well, you can't inherit from people that you don't know. Right. So that became the little crack in the door that I could get through and get my original birth certificate. And then many years later, when these commercial DNA kits happened, I found my birth father's side of the family as well. So both of those premises are in my book, searching and finding the birth parents through different methods, including DNA.
Now, when you got your original birth certificate, was your name changed when you were adopted?
Yes, all the children's names are changed on birth certificates so that
Is that the remote ranch Wi-Fi?
Must be the remote ranch. We'll catch back up with Julie in just a second. Her remote ranch has remote Wi-Fi, so we were warned about this, and that's it. There we go. There. Cut you out just a little bit there. I think your remote ranch Wi-Fi was acting up a little bit there. So the names are changed when the children are adopted out. So did you learn what your original name was?
I did. I was supposed to be a Margaret and called Peggy.
Oh, that's my mother. My mother Margaret called Peggy.
Oh, how about that? But yes, I actually called my birth grandmother's house where my birth mother had lived and asked if she had a daughter who had given up a baby for adoption. And she said, absolutely not. You know, she was still in that culture of secrets and silence that was kept for so many years. You know, the baby scoop generation was for many years where you did give up those babies for adoption and then you kept those secrets to your grave. Mm-hmm. And that's what she was trying to do, was protect my birth mother. But I gave her my telephone number and my birth mother contacted me and we met, and it was a very happy reunion. I was not looking for another mother. I had my mother and my father who are my parents, but it was interesting to see somebody who looked like me and to find out about the health, records that were never given to us. And every time I would go into a doctor's office, they would say, do you have heart disease or diabetes or cancer in your family? And I would have to say, I don't know, because I was adopted.
That has to be kind of an interesting thing to then find out. All your life you're wondering, is there something lurking in my DNA that could be out there? I mean, most of us kind of have that, we've had this history of this particular thing. We're on the lookout for those symptoms. We're aware. And in your case, there was nothing to be looking out for. And so you don't know what might be sneaking up on you.
And that's when I began my search, is when I started having my own family and my children. And they had all kinds of, minor health issues. But I kept thinking, where is this coming from? And I wanted to know.
I think that's fascinating.
Does your birth mother know that you wrote this book?
She passed away before she got to see the book. Mm-hmm.
I wondered.
It would have been an interesting thing to discuss with her, wouldn't it?
But I did receive an email through one of the DNA companies that said that the reference line was, "Are you my sister?" and that will get your attention.
I bet. Sure will.
So sure enough, it was on my birth father's side of the family, and she had reached out to me because we matched up in the DNA results, and that's been fun. You know, I was told all my life, I mean, look at these cheekbones. I was told all my life that I had Cherokee in my background, and being around, you know, Louisiana and Mississippi. There are a lot of Native Americans, and I love that about my background. And after the DNA results, I'm not Cherokee at all. I'm Jewish.
Well, apparently they have high cheekbones too.
I guess so.
Wow.
How interesting. You were all kinds of things you didn't know.
I know. Heinz 57.
I mean, we're just all a bunch of mutts over here having a good time.
That's right.
Doesn't matter.
Exactly.
I always wonder when one of those pops up, you have a DNA match to explore. What's going to happen when
I know.
When I open it up?
Just beware. You know,
on random family.
I won't find any
I've told a lot of people, and that's been my favorite part of this journey of writing this book, has been talking to birth mothers have reached out, some who gave up their children in the same hospital where I was born, in the maternity home, adoptive parents, other adoptees. You know, that's been such a great chapter in this book is to, you know, talk to them and find out their experiences and hear their stories.
That is so fascinating. I knew asking you about the research was going to be interesting. I had no idea that it was going to be so personally connected to you. This is just, what an amazing journey. This book and writing it, just the whole process must have been almost cathartic in many ways, kind of getting that out.
Has it been?
Wow.
It has been. It has been. It's been great therapy. And I wrote it thinking of it on the big screen. You know, I could see all these women in their maternity outfits back in the 60s, and the music of the 60s, and all of that was big screen to me. And now it's actually being shopped around in Hollywood to the studios, and I just hope to see it, if not on the big screen, on a streaming service on the little screen would be great too.
Did you go ahead and write the screenplay for it, or did you have that?
You know, they asked me about that, and I said it's a whole different ball game to write 350 pages and then try to reduce that to 120 pages. So, you know, they're more experienced screenplay writers than I am.
So you had it made, you had a screenwriter convert it into a screenplay?
They're working on it right now.
Oh, how neat.
That's so awesome. I mean, as you were talking, I'm thinking, this is a series. This is like a Netflix thing or Prime. I mean, I could totally see this on the screen. What a fascinating thing. Yes.
I know. I see the same thing.
I can absolutely see it. I hope that comes to fruition, because I know I'd be first in line watching that one. That it's just such an interesting subject. And then to go all the way to Washington with this, from New Orleans to Washington. What an interesting story. And of course, you let slip to me earlier that you have a character that's from Franklin, Tennessee, which is
she is.
And so I've got lots of I got little connections to this one. So I'm anxious.
And the audio book is done very well. There's a nice Southern voice in it, but not too syrupy. I had to choose, you know, sometimes when you request narrators with a Southern voice, it is awful. It does not sound like us at all.
No,
like
you almost have to.
Accent, probably. Benny makes
It's really you trying to do it. It's funny.
So
I think you almost have to find a Southerner to do it. I mean, it is really, really hard to find people who do a Southern accent. It's
but you should listen to
so
it
difficult
on your way to picking up kids and driving around.
Absolutely. I'm fascinated now. I'm definitely going to have to get this one.
I'm going to get it for my mom too, because this is right up. She had some friends in high school. She's in her 70s that went away for a while when she was in high school and had their baby somewhere else, and then just came back and went right back into high school like nothing had ever happened.
That's where
So
they would have
it's been a great topic for book clubs. I'm zooming all over the country, for book clubs and talking about this complex topic of adoption, because now there's so many pertinent issues around that topic, same-sex adoptive parents, adopting out of the culture, international versus in-country, all the open and closed states with the records. And then, of course, the flip side with all the lawsuits with Roe versus Wade. It's just a real hot button topic because there is many opinions about adoption and abortion as there are women, so it opens up a lot of avenues for discussion.
Well,
speaking of discussion, go ahead, Laura.
Oh, sorry. It's probably important to have those discussions too.
Yes,
and not talk about it.
And speaking of talking and discussions, you also have a podcast, Authors Over 50.
Yes.
How fun is that? How did that get started?
Well, everybody kept saying that's the new avenue for authors. You need to get your brand out there. And I thought there are enough podcasts. I listen to them when I ride my bike every single day. I know there are lots of podcasts, but I kept thinking there aren't really any podcasts that celebrate authors who write their debut novel over the age of 50. And I was thinking really over the age of 60 for me, but I opened it up to the
young
50, people. Yeah, the young women age 50, because, you see all of these awards for under 30 or under 40. And those are wonderful because, of course, we celebrate how fabulous young people can be as well. But for us to wait until our retirement years and then to write these books, I think is worth celebrating as well.
Absolutely. I completely agree. Do you have a favorite author that you've had on the show with you, or someone that just was particularly engaging for you? Maybe not a favorite. Well, we don't like to pick favorites, but someone who just really was an engaging person to talk to.
We're just now recording. We're batch recording so we can upload everything. The trailer is out there right now. Everybody can go anywhere where you listen to podcasts and see Authors Over 50, and you'll hear about the premise of the show. But it's been so great to listen. I love to listen to people's stories. That's one thing we do really well in the South is listen, to everybody's gossip or stories that they have, family sagas, and all the secrets that are being kept. So I'm enjoying listening to everybody. I'm getting to interview some of my editors as well, and that's been fun to turn the tables.
Yeah. What an interesting perspective for them too, and for you to have to kind of flip that to what they are looking for, what they are working through on that side. And what a great thing for readers to get to hear as well, because oftentimes, I like to talk about the process of book writing and just the whole thing, getting it out there, from beginning to end, because readers don't often get to find out what happens to get their favorite book onto the shelf.
Yes.
And it's an interesting, fascinating process for people who don't know how that works to kind of get that inside scoop. So what a great idea for guests.
This is such a humbling industry. It's so humbling. They say that 2,000 books a day are being released. I mean, how do we ever have any one reader read our books, much less thousands of readers read our books? Because a million books in the U.S. a year. I mean, that's just an incredible number.
That is. Yeah, to find a loyal readership is quite an accomplishment.
Yes.
In that kind of
marketplace. It really is. Well, Julia, I wish we could talk to you all day long. I'd love to have you on again to talk about some more things, especially as you get that podcast up and running and getting some feedback back from that and all the things that you get to talk about on that show. We would love to have you back on again. Share some more of that.
Just show up at your ranch sometime.
Yes, I would love for you to. I would love for you to. But
well, Julia, as we're wrapping up, will you let the folks know where they can find you online?
Yes, www.juliadaily, and that's like daily newspaper, DAILY.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We are so glad you've been here. This has been a copywritten podcast of Authors on the Air Global Radio Network. Join us next time for some more BYOB.